So I was at work the other day, and isn't it funny how the final hour of work always feels the longest? Like it just doesn't end. Especially the last 10 minutes. Isn't that the worst? And I remember it was probably about 10 minutes before the end of the shift, and I looked at my clock and I was like, oh snap, it's 10 minutes to 4. And I told my mate it was 10 minutes to 4. And isn't it funny how we always whip out our phone to check, even though we've just been like, oh, it's 10 minutes to 4. Oh, is it? Oh yeah, it is. It's like, what, didn't just believe what you just got told? And that's actually a really basic point we don't actually ever take a moment to stop and look at. If you can't believe when someone tells you the time, how are you ever going to believe anything that someone has said that's important to your life? We've got to get over this insecurity of control. We can't be helped if we're not willing to be helped. We can't move if we're not willing to move. See, think about it for a moment. If someone stopped and told you something about you that you weren't particularly interested in hearing, and you flip off at them like, no, that's wrong. How often do people stop in their day-to-day life to tell you something important if it isn't important? People most of the time care about themselves. So if someone stopped to say, hey, this about you isn't great, they're not doing it just out of a flippant moment. You can usually tell because they'll be overly angry, and that's the moment to ignore it. But if someone's come to you and just said, hey, I'm not so sure about what you're doing here, I would take a moment and stop and think, is there potentially any truth in what they just said? And move off it. You don't always necessarily have to take 100% of everything that people say. But at least if you can take 80%, 60%, whatever applies to you, and just goes, you know what, maybe I'm not great at this. Maybe there is a way I could be better at this. Maybe there's a slight possibility that I'm not communicating the way I should be. That's how you start to move. And so you have to take yourself into a place where it's not about, I know everything, I'm all good, I have to control and trust myself like I was with the time, but actually maybe something else that someone else is telling me actually has value. When you start to do that, maybe we can start to move forward.